Hello, everybody. This is Trevor Crow. The show is Trevor and Friends. It's a Tuesday, a really wet, rainy Tuesday here in Greenwich, Connecticut. With me in the studio, which is so wonderful, is Julina Ogilvie. She is partner wealth advisor with Principal Wealth Advisors in Westport. And today we're doing our third part of a three-part series, which has been really interesting. We started out with when you're 20s, early 30s, kind of up to 40, what do you need to do to prepare? And then the next piece we did was 40 to 60. So today we are going to be tackling 60 and over. But before we jump into that discussion, Julina just told me something very interesting. She completed the Ironman competition in Cozumel. Oh my goodness.
I did, yes. And I got sick. So if my voice sounds raspy, it's because I got sick in Mexico.
But talk about grit.
Thank you.
That is got to be one of the toughest things. I'm very impressed, just telling you, just like kudos, props to you. So let's jump into our conversation, because a lot of us are over 60. You are not, but I happen to be. And some of us may or may not have been really prepared as we start to think about retirement age and stuff. So what is your advice for people who are just coming into you in their 60s, maybe hadn't really talked to a wealth advisor prior to this? What are the questions you're asking? What are you talking about?
Yeah, and thank you again for having me, Trevor. I appreciate it. I would say the 60s is one of the most pivotal decades, right? Because there are so many life-changing decisions that one usually has to go through, which is, when are you going to retire? When and how are you going to claim Social Security? You have Medicare enrollment, healthcare strategies to consider. You need to create a retirement income plan. And then if you have retirement accounts, you're going to manage your required distributions. A lot of individuals go through housing decisions at this time, long-term care decisions, and then I'll say estate and legacy planning. And maybe we throw gifting in, since it's Gifting Tuesday.
Gifting Tuesday, yes. That's right. So there's gifts in there as well. So I like that. It's a pivotal decade, and I'm not sure many of us are thinking of it as that way.
Sure.
And you mentioned last time we met, you were on the show. By the way, the show today is brought to you by Julina Ogilvie and myself, Trevor Crow. We really don't, we really haven't, many of us, prepared well. And we're living far longer,
yes,
as you mentioned, which if many of us aren't really thinking that we're going to live well into our 90s, possibly.
Yes. Well, and so I think the statistic that I threw out to you last time from JP Morgan, which I've been following this for 30 years, is if you're 65 years old today and you're a married couple, there is a 73% chance that one of you will reach the age of 90.
Wow.
New to the study in the last 10 years is there is now a 15% chance that one of you will reach 100. And that's if you're 65 years old today.
Right.
The younger generation, we're going to keep living. We're going to keep living longer.
Yep.
I'm so excited I'm hitting my water. And I think, when I got into the business, we used to talk about prepare for retirement, for living 25 to 30 years in retirement. That number's stale. I would say 30 plus years at this point.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have a number now, 65, or maybe it's 67, which is of the best years to retire, which is based on your Social Security, your health. What kind of decision should, for me, I'm 63.
Yeah.
Should I retire at 65, 60? By the way, I'm not going to retire anytime soon. I love my job. I plan on being a therapist until, I can't really think straight.
Yeah. Well, I think retirement for everyone is such a different picture. And, usually we start with the questions, well, do you know what you want to do in retirement? And if you do know what you do you have an idea of how much that's going to cost?
Oh.
Because the 60s is known as the go-go years, meaning that a lot of individuals spend more early in retirement because they want to celebrate the fact that they're retired. They're still young enough and energetic enough that they can travel and they can do all these activities. I can't tell you how many individuals competed in Ironman that were in their 60s, 70s.
Really?
And the youngest woman ever to complete it was 80 just a couple weeks ago.
I saw that woman who did an Ironman at 80 years old.
Just throwing that out there. That's not cheap. So you need to know how much you're going to spend.
Right. So are you saying if you're going to retire, decide what are the things you're going to do and be realistic about the cost of them?
Exactly. Because I think a lot of individuals will say, two things. One is there is a standard of living that I want to enjoy in retirement, right? And you need to know what that's going to cost. And I don't want to run out of money.
Yep. You don't want to run out of money. And then, so you're going to get through the go-go years, and then I believe there's a slow go.
There is, yeah.
And then a no-go.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what happens in slow go years.
Well, I think as we start to slow down, stay in place, maybe not travel as much, maybe not have the same level of activities that we have in the go-go years, there is an assumption that your spending will go down. And this is one of the hardest decisions, is to really understand, number one, how long we're going to live and what we're going to need through these decades. Some have very clear ideas of what that looks like, and others don't want to know. They would rather put their head under the sand, and that makes it a lot more difficult to really understand, can you live off of Social Security? Do you have other income, pension, maybe real estate assets that are providing income, whatever that looks like? Can that generate enough, or do you need to live off of an investment account like a retirement account?
So Social Security is an interesting conversation because I believe baby boomers are retiring at an incredible rate today as we go forward. I think we've got another solid 5 years of that, and then it'll go down. I think I am the last year of the baby boom. I was born in 62. Maybe 65, one of the last, 65 might be the last of the baby boomers.
Yeah.
But there's a chunk of people, we're retiring, or many of us are retiring, and that's going to draw down the Social Security safety net faster than we're expecting. And I believe I saw a number like 2033, we're going to be in pretty bad shape, Social Security wise. How do we prepare ourselves for that?
Yeah, I think, well, there's a couple things going on. One is individuals today, there is a range in where you can take Social Security, right? And so you have your full retirement age. We'll talk about it, which has adjusted over time. If you take it earlier, say at 62, which most Americans today choose to take Social Security at 62.
Wow.
Maybe it's because they need the income. Maybe it's because they don't trust the future of Social Security.
That's a good point.
But you are locking in a 70% discount, or sorry, a 30%
discount. So you're getting 70%
You're getting
of
70% exactly of your full benefit, and that is locked in.
Okay, so what is the best year to retire where you get 100% of the benefit?
You can go all the way to age 70, and
Okay.
that today is going to provide you 124% of your benefit. It's a
Wow.
huge difference.
Wow.
And I'm not suggesting that everyone needs
Yeah.
to wait until 70. This is a very personal
But if you
decision.
can.
If you can, you should, because we're living longer.
Yeah. And that's
Generally speaking.
That's a 50% swing.
It's a huge swing.
Yeah.
Only 10% of Americans, the last time I looked, are taking Social Security at 70.
Interesting. Okay, I just learned something new, everybody, today. That was good.
And I think, that concern of Social Security going away, sure, it's a valid concern. We talk about the debt in the U.S., et cetera. However, Social Security is still predominantly funded by payroll taxes.
Right. So we are all paying into it, or have been all these decades.
Yes.
We've been all working, right?
And the studies are showing that they will continue to pay the majority of it, about 75% around there, for the foreseeable 75 years.
Okay. So it'll hopefully cover us.
It should cover, but then the question is, well, what happens to the other 25%? Well, Social Security is already being tweaked. They've already changed the full retirement age.
Okay.
That 70% at age 62 used to be 75%. Right? So they're
Okay.
already making these bends,
Adjustments.
and they'll continue to do so.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away overnight.
Yep. Okay, so we've tackled Social Security. What about investments? Are you suggesting people kind of not be so aggressive in their investments? What do you tell people to do as they're looking at, I'm going to be retiring in my mid-60s. This is what I want to be doing. I want to travel a lot,
Right.
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out two general statements, and again, I can't customize this answer for everyone listening. However, there's two things to keep in mind. Number one is, if you have investment accounts that you're going to lean on in retirement, IRA, a taxable account, whatever it may be. Generally speaking, there is a rule of thumb that's called the 4% rule, which states if you take out 4% of your portfolio, so if you have $1 million, that's $40,000 a year, that should sustain you for 30, 35 years in retirement. You don't run out of money.
That's great.
That's great.
That's a good plan.
It's assuming you have a balanced allocation, right? Because you don't want to be too aggressive and you don't want to be too conservative. So call it, a balanced allocation. I'll start with 50% stocks, 50% bonds, and then you can kind of go in either direction. But 40,000 for a lot of individuals for where we live, coming out of their investment portfolio to supplement their Social Security and other
I was
income,
about to say supplemental. Yep.
may not be enough.
Oh, yep. It's expensive here.
If it's expensive, and you can quickly derail. Where if you nudge it to 5 or 6%, studies will show you will run out of money in about 20 to 30 years. So you may not have it fully in retirement.
Right.
Right. That's shifting from 40,000 to maybe 50 or 60,000 a year. That's it.
That's it.
And that can derail it.
So I did get a question from somebody who's very near and dear to me, Howard Stevenson, this morning. He's a retired professor at Harvard Business School. He said, what do you do if a big event happens? It could be a medical event. It could be your car blowing up, for example. How do you plan for that?
Yes, because all of these unexpected events always happen.
They always happen. Not if, when.
I say that because while I was away, they were redoing our roof. There was a hole in our roof. So
Oh, my goodness.
you need an emergency savings. And we talked about this with the 20s and kind of in the, the 30s and 40s. Regardless of where you are in your retirement or your investment stage, you always want to have that emergency savings so that it doesn't derail your plan.
Yeah. So what do you think that emergency savings should look like? How many months? Give me a sort of a rule of thumb, if you will.
Yeah, again, rule of thumb. It's usually about 3 to 6 months of your earnings.
Okay. And of course, I am not on Medicare yet, right? But those people who are retiring and having to kind of maybe they're 62 and they're before that age of 65, where healthcare insurance is pretty expensive now, right? Yeah. Any thoughts to help or plan for that?
Yeah, my quick response would be get professional advice. And certainly we work with our clients to find guidance in getting those answers because it is a critical part of the plan, right? And I'm not a specialist in that space, so I eagerly look out for that guidance from someone.
Yeah, no, it is, and again, Julina, it's just such an important discussion, and I'm sure many people actually walk into your office in their 60s and really haven't talked to an advisor yet, a financial advisor, and so I'm just so appreciative personally of this conversation. But what would you say to somebody who really is walking in cold and says, "Hey, this is what I've got." How does the conversation go for you?
Yeah, I think that a lot of it goes back to the basics of what we've talked about is, if we can help guide them and have an understanding of what their current situation is, what is their income, right? What does that look like relative to their spending?
Yep.
And, people are always asking, what's that general number that I need to retire? It's, it could be so different for someone here versus someone else, maybe in a different part of the country that can live off of Social Security.
Yeah.
So that's a hard one to answer. But if you know how much you're making, if you know how much you've saved, and you know how much you're spending, it can start down that process. And I'm very selfish in this belief, but running a financial plan, I think, it can be critical.
So when you say running a financial plan, how do you do that? What does it look like? Do you have to go to a financial planner to do that, or somebody maybe kind of intimidated? What else? How do you suggest getting to that point?
Yeah, it's there are financial tools online. I don't want to speak for those. We, at least at my firm at Principal Wealth, because we're independent, we spent a lot of time finding and choosing the financial tools that we use for our clients. We don't even have one financial plan at our firm. We have 3 because everyone's needs are so different. And so depending on the needs, we choose different ones for different reasons.
Right. So I have some friends who are telling me that they're diving into AI to find out what they need to be doing and kind of acting as an advisor. What are your thoughts on that? It concerns me a bit, but what are your thoughts?
Sure. I mean, I use AI. I've embraced it over the last year. I think the first and foremost is that you can't completely trust it. You really need to make, and even in this discussion, I've thrown into AI some different ideas, and it actually came back with Social Security numbers that were wrong.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so you have to be
Yeah.
very careful. I would also say that AI can certainly tell you a solution that works for you. It's not going to hold your hand.
Right.
And a lot of what we do at our firm is remind our clients
Yeah.
that this is what they need to do. It's
Yeah.
a subtle nudge and subtle reminders.
You might be going over what we agreed on the budget if you went to Cosmo maybe and did another Ironman. So I compete in ballroom dance, which itself can be rather expensive. So
Amazing.
I'm actually going to Vienna this weekend. I'm quite excited. But my point being is, if I could do that in retirement, I would have to be very careful and plan it out. I can't go crazy,
Yes.
right? So it's the go-go years.
Yes.
Be smart.
Exactly.
The slow go years, you maybe stop and readjust. And then the no go years,
Yes.
what do we do then?
I think this is one of the reasons that a financial plan is never a set it and forget it.
Oh,
Right,
good
because our
point.
needs change. We have, our family situations change, and we're constantly reevaluating those plans. And I think just having an understanding and an acknowledgement, it's okay to have changes in our lives. They can be good. We just have to adjust with them.
So this is such a great message for everybody, which is there's going to be periods of time that, say, in early to mid 60s to 70s, you go off and do that traveling or whatever, the cooking class in Italy, whatever it is that is your bliss. And then maybe there's going to be a point to adjust, and it's not so much travel anymore. Maybe you're hanging out, playing more bridge.
Yes.
And then towards the end of your life, or the last 10 years, and it could now go into your 90s,
Sure.
you might need a lot of care, which is quite expensive.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And don't be too surprised with this, Trevor, but the average cost of long-term care in Connecticut is higher than the national average.
Oh, gosh.
And so, one of the questions we do ask clients sometimes is, well, where do you want to retire? Is it here, or where do you think you'll need that long-term care? And we will, if they don't have long-term care, we will price that into their plan to make sure that they can pay for it if they don't have
It is incredibly expensive.
It is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So kind of note to self and think of this, everybody, as you're kind of making these plans over time. It's going to be a lot and more than you think. And again, rising costs of living in general right now,
Yeah.
I still find, heart stopping, because the price of eggs really are much higher than they were this time last year. So,
Yeah, and I think it's also an important discussion to have with family because, I do hear on occasion individuals say, "Oh, my kids will take care of me." And then the next question should be, well, do your kids know this?
it's a lot of care. It's a lot of work. Exactly.
Yeah.
And caregivers get very burnt out too.
Sure.
That's a whole nother conversation.
It is.
Of who's keeps us going in our old age. But thank goodness for the people who are doing that hard work.
Yes.
And I'm quite appreciative. So here's another sort of the flip side of this story, which is there's a great deal of wealth that is getting transferred as we speak, as one generation passes to another
Yes.
energetic source, if you will, wherever they go. And that wealth is now dropping into our generations, below, younger than us. So what happens? Are you seeing that as people are coming into your office that they may have inherited some money? What is that conversation like?
Yes. So you're right. It's the largest wealth transfer in U.S. history. They're estimating 84 trillion in the next 20 years.
Wow.
And to your point about baby boomers, there's 10,000 retiring a day. So we're starting to see that. And I think also to your point, the question we have to ask is, are the next generations prepared for the inheritance of these assets? I don't know. To your point earlier, I think there's a comfort level in using AI, understanding, asking more questions, and I think that that's great. The education needs to continue.
Right.
And I think that we need, the older generation really needs to encourage that preparation and have that conversation with that generation that is going to be receiving that inheritance.
So I was just reading an article in the Wall Street Journal, and there were some examples of people who've been doing this estate planning, which is quite specific. One family had made sure there was enough money for their daughter and granddaughter's horses. Another one was really encouraging travel, so they put it like $300,000 in cash a year for the family to travel. So it's kind of interesting that this generation is kind of shaping the way that money is to be spent, et cetera. Any thoughts on that?
Our firm just had an event actually a couple of weeks ago with our in-house attorney along with another attorney local here in Fairfield County. And I think that the individuals that were listening were shocked to hear, number one, how few are prepared from an estate planning standpoint.
Oh goodness.
There are still a majority of Americans that don't have an estate plan, and sometimes they think they don't have enough to warrant one. And that's the first thing I would say. If you own assets that you want to really understand the legacy of where they're going to go, you should have an estate plan. If you want to control, your health decisions, you should have an estate plan. And if you're fortunate to have reasonable assets, having a conversation with an attorney about different types of trusts, for example, those are huge decisions that could save millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on what your asset level is over time. And that's critical.
So you would recommend somebody with some assets to maybe meet with as trust and estate lawyer, take a look at trusts, which could save money or protect money from taxes? Is that?
We believe so much about this at our firm that we brought in an attorney a year ago. We have an in-house counsel that can't prepare the documents because she works at our firm, but she speaks to all of our clients about what they could be doing. And after she understands, where are you? What is there a legacy you would like to leave? What are your primary concerns? Taxes come up, and she helps them create a plan.
That's amazing. And what do you hear? What are the responses on the legacy you want to leave? Do people have purpose? Do they have, I don't know. I'm just curious what you hear from people.
Oh, we hear everything.
You do.
But I really think that the majority really want to leave the younger generation better than where they are. They want to help guide them make those decisions. And I think part of that is, having an estate plan in place.
It's such great advice. I really appreciate that. And it is such a mess when you leave your kids to have to wade through and end up in probate, which takes years and is potentially very expensive. And I've seen all sorts of not very good outcomes when wills and trusts, et cetera, are not super clear. There's a power attorney. There's some things that can be done ahead of time that makes life so much easier for people inheriting your estate.
We hear it all the time. I wish I'd done this before X event happened.
Oh,
yeah.
So you don't want to wait until something bad happens. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
I did, again, articles that I read, I know we have just a couple of seconds left, but Swedish death cleaning. I guess this is something in Sweden that you want to start giving your stuff away prior to actually dying, because I guess us baby boomers are going to be leaving a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And our heirs are going to have to wade through tons and tons of stuff. So maybe start thinking about what you can be giving away sooner than later.
Yeah, and there's different strategies as well for tax purposes that I think should be thought through as well.
It's really cool. Well, Julina Ogilvie, thank you so much for being on the show. This is Trevor Crow. The show is Trevor and Friends. We're on WGCH. We're going to go to a station break right now, and stay safe. It's raining out there.